before we start, so we will start in Shavasana, and there will be some rebounds today, but since we try to use the Yin Yoga to wake up the body, the rebounds will getting less and less, so the time we spend in the rebounds will be less the more we progress in the practice, and then probably ending seated, and then hopefully you have gained some energy for the day to ease out of the weekend and hopefully feeling recharged for the new week. Okay, so let's get started and get comfortable in your Shavasana. So we will just use Shavasana only to get into the mood. It's actually a great practice if you to do in bed, so at least until we come to the last two poses. Sometimes when you feel you're about to wake up and just want to do some long holds, this might be a nice way to start a day. So you can do your Yin Yoga practice also in your bed. But for now we will use the Shavasana just to get into the zone. Maybe you like to close your eyes. And just take a few moments to scan your body and become aware of how you feel on this Sunday morning. Sometimes we wake up and we feel super energized and we just jump out of bed and are ready for whatever is waiting for us. And sometimes we feel heavy and lethargic. And even though the idea of doing something active sounds nice somewhere in the back of our heads, but it's just not what our body needs at that moment. So just take a few more moments here to become aware of how you feel this morning. Allowing your body to be stiff, to be tired, and just slowly going with the flow. We're gonna hold the poses up to 5 minutes again, so you will see me checking my watch every now and then. So from here we will slowly start to move. Maybe just with some soft movements from your hands and fingers. And then we start to place our feet on the ground. And as often in Yin, I like to start with the Yin side of the body with the left side. So cross your left leg over your right leg. Have your arms in a comfortable width, maybe in a 90-degree angle, spread out to the side, and on your exhale, drop your knees over to the right side of your yoga mat. So your left leg is your top leg, and then take a few moments to feel the pose. Feel into your lower back, the area of the lumbar spine. Try to keep your belly soft. And here I always like to close my eyes, as it helps to really feel my way into the pose. And as it's still early in the day, even though it's 11 a.m., but for a weekend, I'm just assuming that most of us were moving in a different pace this morning. So you probably feel that your body feels a bit more tired than usually at this time of the day. During the week we're probably more active by this time. For some of us it's 10 a.m. So maybe you just literally just rolled out of bed onto your yoga mat. So just feel your way into the pose. So you get a really nice activating stretch out of this spinal twist. This could be a gentle massage for your internal organs by twisting the front. Maybe you can feel the stretch working on the lower back into the glute area as well. Maybe some of you here into the IT band as well. And spinal twists have a very activating effect on our body. So it's a great way if we're feeling low on energy or if we're about to wake up. It's a very nice way to wake up. I know usually we do this pose by the end of a practice. And it also helps to cool down and to relax the body after a practice, if it's yin or if it's yang. But for today I thought it's a nice way to try to energize the body. Maybe, because I know all of you have done this pose before, maybe you can recall how this pose feels on your body when you were doing it later in the day, and how this pose feels right now on your body. Also bringing awareness to your shoulders and to your arms. So maybe feel that the left shoulder is a little bit lifted off the ground. You can enjoy a sweet stretch. From the left chest area down to the fingertips of your left hand. And now, unfortunately, the 5 minutes are over, at least for this side, for this pose. And then slowly, maybe let your knees slide down and cross your legs. And we will move onto our belly, taking the rebound while lying on the belly. Have your legs in any comfortable width. Maybe you want to sway your hips a little bit from side to side. Let your legs drop into any comfortable position. Your arms in any comfortable position. And then relax your butt cheeks. And maybe with your eyes still closed, try to feel the previous pose spreading out in your body. Your belly relaxed. Try to feel the area from your butt cheeks, the lower back. Maybe you can already feel the slight tingling sensation, the movement of chi. And we're trying to cultivate with these long holds in the yin practice. And I know especially when we use these poses to gently waken up the body, when we're in the rebound, it can be harder than usual to get back out of the rebound. So really move on gently. If you need to hang out here a little bit longer, it's perfect, so no need to rush. But maybe you can slowly come onto your forearms. And as you set up for this next pose, and we will continue with our left leg. So here with our upper body in swings pose and your legs in any comfortable position, you keep your right leg as it is and you keep your belly soft and dropping into the ground. You slowly start to pull your left leg, the left knee, towards the direction of your left elbow. Moving into the lizard. So a little bit of an asymmetrical pose. A little bit of a back bend. So as we bring the knee in, trying to soften the belly again. And your left foot in any comfortable position. There's no need to tense the muscles of your left foot. Trying to soften your right leg. Maybe you can feel that the right hip bone is pressing a little bit more into the ground. And again, trying to feel the compression here in your lower back. So this could also be an option for you when we usually practice swings pose, and swings pose for whatever reason maybe it doesn't feel right on your body. You can always play with this pose and see, having one leg in this position and maybe switching the legs while you're doing the pose, if that's more comfortable for your lower back. Because that is always what we're trying to find out while we're in the yin pose, to always looking for the best position for our body. So always using the pose in the beginning as an outline, and then trusting your body, trusting your intuition to modify the pose to suit your body. Because we constantly change. It's not that we practice maybe in the morning, could be the temperature, if it's cold or is it warm outside. Our mood, we're healthy or we're sick, and it can just be the fact that we may be suffering from an allergy, that we're feeling more low on one day and that we need to modify in a way we have never thought about before. So if you find at some point you need to slide the left leg back and just come to the regular swings pose, by all means, really go what feels right for you right now. And maybe it's just that you play, bringing the legs into swings pose, and then you realize, well, the lizard wasn't too bad, and then just come back. So it's never written in stone how you have to be in a yin practice. You're just trying to surrender into the pose. And when we adjust the pose, that's not fidgeting. It's just trying to find the right spot, and sometimes it takes a bit longer. And sometimes we just instantly drop into the space where we belong. And I can also tell from my own experience, sometimes I'm in a pose I've done so many times before, and then out of a sudden I feel my mind is racing just about this pose because it feels so differently on my body. Not knowing where and how to position myself. And then if I do it the next time, out of a sudden it feels like the most normal thing in the world. So just to share that, that's very normal. And then from here, maybe you start by lowering your upper body down to the ground. Let your left leg slide back, coming to a rebound on your belly. And just observe the differences from your left to the right leg. Exploring and how your body feels right now compared from one side to the other. And then taking your time to enjoy the second half of the rebound on your back. And I will just, so you're just rolling onto your back, spreading your legs out, close your eyes. Because we're about to approach the second side. And I will just turn around on my yoga mat. Otherwise you won't hear me. It's good when my face is turned to the wall when we do the second round. But relax your shoulders, your eyes closed, your face relaxed. Feel the difference from lying on the belly to lying on your back. Try to feel the difference in your legs, in your lower back. And then from here you start to bend your legs again. Let your knees point to the ceiling, open your arms to any comfortable width. And now we shift to the yang side of the body, the right side. So start by crossing your right leg over your left. Have your legs in this tight cross-leg position. Take another inhale, and with your exhale, guide your knees to the ground on the left-hand side of your yoga mat. And again, as this will probably not feel the same as on the first side. So take your first few moments here in this pose to figure out where you belong. Is the stress that you can feel from your lower back a stress you can tolerate right now? Or is it too much? And if you find that it's too much, trust your intuition, your body, to guide you into the place where you feel that you can relax into the pose. And even though in Yin we're trying to bring our body into these stressful situations, it always should be a situation, a pose that we can tolerate. So maybe you need to do just a tiny movement, almost invisible to the eye, but you will instantly feel a massive difference for you in this pose. It could be from your legs, it could be the position of your arms. And whenever you feel that this comfortable stress is leaving your body, then you need to decide for yourself, do you want to linger on here? Because you know there's still some chi cultivating happening in your body. Or maybe you just want to change the position just a little bit, just a tiny bit. So you start to feel the pose at the same level or similar as before. And you try to open up, gently allow the tissues around your lower back and hip to open up again. But also at the same time, if you just feels as tight as before, there's no need to rush. With the Yin practice, we allowing the body to take over and not our demanding, controlling mind. And we will feel the effect of the pose when the body slowly unwinds. So for the last few moments that we are here in the spinal twist, try to feel the pose. And maybe you can recall the difference of how this pose on this side feels compared when you do this usually at the end of your practice or at the end of a day. And do you feel the pose now more in your lower back, or can you tell the effect had shifted and you maybe feel this more in your right arm? And then you slowly prepare yourself to make your way onto your belly. Maybe you start by uncrossing your legs, bring your right arm over, and then slowly roll onto your belly. Shifting into any comfortable position on your yoga mat where you can relax. Maybe your arms on the ground, head to one side, or you use your arms as a pillow. And with your soft belly and maybe your eyes closed, observe your body. Follow the rebound.
try to soften your muscles. Feel your shoulders relaxed, your soft belly, your hips relaxed. And as always, there's no need to rush yourself out of the rebound, especially if you felt that you were about to drift into dreamland. Move slowly, move gently, maybe linger on a little bit longer. We'll slowly start to bring in movements into the body, moving your hands, the fingers, maybe sway the hips from side to side. And then bring your arms again into the swings pose. And just take a little moment just to feel the pose. Just slowly starting off with the swings pose. And then maybe for the second side you want to stay here in swings, that's fine. Or slowly start to bend your right leg and slide the right knee into the direction of your right elbow. And trying to relax your left leg. And this is often the moment when we realize the tiny, sometimes a big difference from our left to right hip. So maybe this feels more comfortable than on the first side. Or it's vice versa. So if you feel, and it can happen sometimes, that you feel a pressure right here under the knee, then you can use a blanket or a pillow and just place it a little bit above where you feel the pressure. That helps to reduce the sensation of the bone pressing into the floor. And then trying to figure out how high you should bring the right knee. Try to soften the belly into the ground. And probably the more tricky part, trying to soften your butt cheek muscle. And any variation with your elbows. Of course, you can also bend your arms, resting your chin into your hands. And you can really let the belly drop into the ground. And then trying to feel the compression here in the lower back. Some of it might be less than in the regular swings pose. For some of us, it's just the level where you can tolerate this pose. For some, you maybe feel like, I'm not really feeling this. So you can try and see if you should bring your palms onto the ground, lifting the elbows away from the floor, and see how this, just by straightening your arms a bit more, changes the compression for the lower back. But you know, you're doing this only to find your pose. It's not about something like doing a yin pose better. It's always about how it feels. And even though within the yin, as we're trying to stay with our natural breath, if you find that you hold the breath just by sinking deeper into a pose, it's probably the sign that you went too far too soon. But at the same time, I know sometimes, as we move slowly and we need to play around, we need to change the pose. Sometimes you can get this electric shock sensation as we move slowly. So this is also a very common sensation, and I know this can be very scary when you feel this the first time. So you're wondering, what's going on in my body right now? So that's probably a nervous sensation. So, and it will leave after a brief moment, but for a moment you can get the sensation it's almost impossible to continue moving. So for those of you, if you decide that you need to have your elbows lifted, you can have your fingers turned out to the side, you can have your arms at mat distance or even further apart, or if your spine allows it, you can bring the hands closer to your upper body. So that would be too much for me, even though I probably could do this, but definitely would take the purpose of the pose away. And for the last few moments here, maybe you can again scan your body and see if there's any muscular tension that you don't need right now from the lower body. Try to release. And last few seconds here. If you like and if you need, if your body is asking you to exit the pose early, by all means just let your right leg slide back, lie on your belly, take your rebound. And now it's time, slowly, maybe this comes with a yawn and you feel like, you need to move in slow motion. Bring your upper body back down to the ground. Relax. And with your eyes closed, scanning your body. Try to feel this part of the lower back, the lumbar spine, up to the part before the rib cage starts. A soft bum, your legs relaxed, your shoulders soft. And then start to bend your legs and gently swaying your hips from side to side. And you're slowly moving out of the rebound. And make a transition to child's pose. And really move in slow motion. Because often after a while, the few yin poses, we realize that the body already adjusted into the yin while the brain maybe is still a bit more active. And then we realize that we can't move as fast as we wish. And sometimes we realize we're cultivating so much energy that we are spring-loaded and can't wait to move. So move accordingly to what your body allows you right now. And enjoy this sweet counter pose to the last back bend and rounding your spine. Have your legs in comfortable width out to the side so there's enough space for your upper body to sink towards the ground. Your shoulders relaxed. And try to feel the difference here in this part of the body where you're rounding now. We're in the back bend with the lizard or the swings pose. So from here, as we now in this child's pose, we're starting to use some more activating yin poses to help the body to wake up. And we start to slide the arms out in front of us. And the next pose that we're going to do, I apologize in advance, I know it's everyone's favorite, the frog. And it's actually, if you're a surfer, it's actually a nice way to release the groin area. When we sit on the surfboard waiting for the surf, the waves. So you come into table pose from child's pose. And just turning around a little bit. So if you have sensitive knees, you maybe want to double fold your yoga mat. But we don't hold it for 5 minutes, I promise. So just a little bit, just a little release for your inner legs. So you're trying to open your legs like in child's pose, and you start to let your upper body drop to the ground. And here you can decide if you want to turn the toes out to the side or if you want to turn the toes back. So you open your knees to the side and like a frog with your legs wider than in child's pose, so your feet moving away from each other. And your hips either. This is something where you really need to figure out which feels best for your knees. If you want to sit your hips back or if you shift a little bit forward. But the idea is, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna feel this in your groin area. Every now and then you meet people super flexible from their hips and they just lay flat on the floor like a frog. But if you start to feel this somewhere in your hips, so you can start off really like a really wide leg child's pose. And then crawling your arms out in front of you using your elbows. And then tell your brain that you enjoy this pose. Because this, for the majority of us, if you don't have those hips where you lay on your belly like people who have bones like gymnasts or ballet dancers, they have a hard time too because they don't know what we feel right now. But it's one of these poses where when you thought of how can I release that area of the groin, the inner thighs, that's the pose. Also, if you're horse rider, you know that's the muscle groups you use a lot. So if you find when you're in this pose that is maybe too much for your knees, I highly recommend to double fold the yoga mat or using a blanket. I'm just making sure, and don't forget to take the time. So you can do this pose in a yang way or in a yin way. But since I know this came without announcement, And I surprise you with this pose, we don't hold it for 5 minutes. Just enough. Just a little bit longer. Then we are here right now. So we maybe touch the 3-minute mark. Maybe. But at the same time, if you realize this is your new favorite pose and you want to stay here longer, of course you can hang out here as long as you like. There's no limit to any yin pose. But for now, let's say goodbye to the frog. And use your hands, bring the knees in. Well done, everyone. Child's pose. And we are back in child's pose. Feel the difference for your lower back. Your legs, especially the groin area. Again, the lower back. And we will continue with moving. So if you were thinking about doing this practice in your bed, so this would have been probably the last pose you're doing while being cozy. So from here we will move on to our hands and knees, and we only use down dog as a transition pose. And we will start with our left leg again. So we just use down dog. So if you like, maybe walking your dog, pedal out the heels, and then step your left foot in between your hands, send the right knee down to the ground. You can turn the left toes out to the side. You can bring the left hand inside your left leg. Maybe you want to have your left hand or both hands on the top of your left knee. You can really relax here. And if you're one of those super flexible persons still missing the effect for your right hip flexor, maybe you want to reach your left arm around, find your inner right elbow. So you do this more with the balance. You can let your right arm dangle. So find any spot where you can hold the pose. But if it's too much in the beginning and you will have 5 minutes again, maybe you have your fingers on the ground and you can modify at any point. So this is definitely a great wake-up call for your body. I'm pretty sure you feel this now already in your right hip flexors. So here also what might help, if you have external rotation from your hips, maybe you want to turn the toes of the left foot out. Some of you maybe lean onto your right hand, and without too much force, just placing the left hand inside your left leg and helping you to open up the left leg to the left side. And you probably start to feel this somewhere here, but for some of us it's more of a hip flexor stretch. If you're lucky, you feel everything at the same time. Jackpot. Of course, for those of you really flexible people, to get the most out of it, to get the stretch here for the back side of your left leg and your right hip flexors, of course, feel free to slide into splits, into full dragon, if that's
spot where you get the most of this pose right now. But really choose wisely. As you know, we have 5 minutes. It's less than 5 now. But you don't want to burn yourself out. And as always with the yin, you realize before that the longer you're in the pose, you can tell that your body responds to this long holds, and that you look different in the pose when you come out of the pose compared to the moment we started the pose. And just by moving so slowly, that we think we hardly moved at all, but we feel the change. So it's less than 2 minutes to go. So maybe that's the moment where you think you maybe like to play with your edge. If you, maybe some of you feel you want to go down onto your forearms. See how this affects the pose for you. Maybe that's the angle you want to seal the practice with on this side, and just being here with your elbows on the ground. Maybe you want to shuffle the left foot further to the left side, maybe even off your yoga mat. And try to feel if this pose still affects this part of your body or your right hip flexors. And then from here we will make our way to a downward facing dog, just as a transition. But of course, even though we progress without the rebound, if you prefer, if you want your rebound, just take a rebound. Make it your practice, it's your body, it's your yoga. From here, from down dog, walking the dog, and then step your right foot in between the hands. Drop your left knee down. Release your left toes. And then stay here. Stay here. Find the effect of the pose on this part of your body. And also try to feel the pose for your right glutes, the right butt cheek. Maybe you need to turn the right toes out to the side. And some of you maybe instantly go down with the forearms down to the ground. As you know, left and right are never the same. So you really need to dial in to what works best on the second side of your body. So maybe on the first side you had your elbows down on the ground, and now on the second side it's a better idea to have your elbows or your hands on the front knee. Again, an option is to reach around with your left elbow to find, with your left hand to find the right arm out in front of you. Maybe helps you to get a little bit more of a back bend out of this pose. Will probably intensify the stress in this part if you want that. That might be your option. You can also have both hands on the inside And then any tilt from the upper body where you get the most out of it for yourself. And now this is one of the pauses where the brain is racing, because in the Yang style, holding this maybe for 30 seconds, it's a tough one, but 30 seconds, even in Yang, can feel like forever, but it's just, in the end, it's just 30 seconds, you know. That you're about to be out of the pose the moment you step into it. And here you have 5 minutes, which is optional. Just saying. Again, thanks, Steffi, saying that by the end of the practice. Sorry, I always forget about that. So yeah, maybe you are here with me right now, and I just let you know that is all optional. Thank you for joining me till that point. But I'm always trusting you that you never do too much. So I know, especially in this pose, these 5 minutes, especially from left to right, one side always feels like, oh my god, this is like another 6 weeks of lockdown, while the other side is like, what? We have to leave? I could do 6 weeks more. So this always depends. But I will make sure, yeah, just a few more seconds here. So maybe for the last bit, you either go down into your forearms, see if you want to end here with leaning forward, or if you want to lift the chest. So in a way, this is the proper Game of Thrones pose. It's dragon and you bending the knee in surrender. For those of you who watch that series. And from here, you made it. Hands down to the ground. Tuck your back. Left toes. Lift the hips. Let's shift back to down dog. Walking the dog. Moving the hips from side to side. And then send your knees back to the ground. Cross your feet behind you. Sit over your feet. Find any comfortable seated position where you can sit with your legs crossed. Rest your hands on your knees or in your lap. And close your eyes. Feel your sit bones on the ground. Lift your shoulders up to your ears and soften your shoulders down your back. And just follow the air spilling in and out through your body. Feel the movement of breath, the rise and fall from your chest and belly. And then try to feel down to your hips. As we're sitting here now, just try to feel the rebound in this seated pose of the last 2 dragon poses. Feel the release from your hips. Try to feel the area of your lumbar spine. And as you sit here observing the breath spilling in and out through your nose, take one last full body scan. See with your eyes closed on how your body feels now compared to the very beginning of this class. Where we started in Shavasana. Let's take 3 more breaths here together. And keep your eyes closed, and with your next inhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Gently bow your forehead to your fingertips on the exhale. And blink your eyes open. And with this forward fold, bow down to yourself, paying gratitude to yourself, taking time for yourself and your yoga practice. Thank you for joining me this morning. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Namaste, everyone.